entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Hey, what is up, folks? It's Joe Alsobrook with Mindset Over Everything. Mindset Over Everything, the podcast, the movement, the t-shirt line. Mindset is exactly what it sounds like. It is the set of your mind. It is what is the setting that your mind is currently in. What set do you have your mind in right now? And Mindset Over Everything really is a project that I came up with that I wanted to really help people out, right? I really wanted to make an impact. And in saying that and truly meaning that, like, I want to help as many people as possible get to where they're going. And if I'm not there, hopefully I can help just be some of that push along the way to get them there to where they want to be. Now, in order for me to do that, I need something, right? You knew it was going to come. I was eventually going to ask something from you, but don't worry, this is easy. Two things, right? First thing, share me. Share me with at least one person that you feel the message would resonate, that has the same mindset as you, that is on that journey, that's trying to break through. If this isn't for you, maybe it'll be for them. If you do resonate, you do love it, maybe your personal recommendation would be that thing they need to correct their mindset, right? But thank you all very much who's tuned in to this point, and thank you for everyone who has shared. That second thing is, I need you to go to iTunes. If you're listening on an iPhone or an Apple device, go to iTunes in the podcast, find Mindset Over Everything. If you're on it right now, great. But on the Mindset Over Everything, scroll down to the bottom. You're going to see where you can write a review. Give me that 5-star ranking that you know that you want to give me. And if you've helped, the content's helped you, maybe what specifically you liked about it, and leave that rating there. The ratings and the reviews on iTunes is how I get out there to more people, right? If you've ever wondered, like, how do certain podcasts get out there and others don't, it's simply because of the people in it, the people who listen to it, passionately rating, reviewing, and sharing people and bringing them in the way, right? So that's what I asked for you. Thank you very much. Mindset Over Everything today. It's a real laid-back Sunday chat is really what I want to have. I just did a live video on Facebook, and I talked about a couple of topics, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about an origin today. And if you hear some birds and stuff in the background, I'm in a legitimate bird sanctuary right now. It's over by my house. It's Joe's Creek. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Let me give you one of these. And if you're listening to this on iTunes or on SoundCloud or somewhere, and you don't know what the heck's going on right now, I just kind of gave a little view of what's going on in the scenery and surroundings that I've got. But anyway, if you want to see that, check it out. It's going to be on YouTube. If you're listening to me on the podcast version, you can go to my Facebook page, Joe Alsobrook, and you'll be able to see it there too. So I digress quite often, quite frequently. Probably one of the number one things you'll always hear me say. But today I wanted to go ahead and give a little bit more of an origins to mindset, right? Mindset Over Everything, and how it started, how I started, where I'm at, where I was, and where I want to go. And maybe this can help people kind of align themselves to the message, to align themselves to the mission, the vision, and the movement. We've got, I think, right at 9 episodes now with Mindset Over Everything. My goal is to add, a couple every week, and just want to make sure I'm putting content out there that's not just for the sake of putting stuff out there, but, every episode I want to have some takeaways. I want someone to be able to take some of what we were talking about, apply it to their life today, and see immediate results, with the understanding of that's just part of it. Right, that's just one little cobble in the street, right? You got to keep doing it. You got to keep going, and that's what this is about, right? It's the pursuit of the fulfillment of one's true potential. That's the definition of success that we subscribe to here at Mindset Over Everything. So thank you very much. We've come out to this point. Thank you who all have shared and helped the movement continue to grow. Thank you in advance for the ratings I know you're going to give. Origins. All right. So Joe Alsobrook, for those who know me, for those who don't, I'm from a little town called Marlow, Oklahoma. I was born in 1977. That puts me at 41 and a half years old. And I'm an Aquarius. I like long walks on the beach. Tennis is my racket. No, but seriously, you'll hear some corny stuff from me. However, that's how I grew up. I had 2 great parents. My dad was a cop. My mom was a school teacher. And, my dad being a police officer, you could imagine he was a big goofball, kind of like me. I mean, loved aggravating the heck out of you. The dad jokes, the constant, ribbing. And so if any of my friends have ever, that know me, know that I give people a hard time. I'm always busting balls. Sorry, that's ingrained in my DNA. The gift of gab, my communication, I think would have to come from my mom. She's, she was always involved with giving speeches and talks and presentations, and she can talk. So, that's probably the combination of both of those is what's made me. Graduated high school in '95, ended up going to Cameron University, and went to Norman, Oklahoma. I was in the military. You went the United States Air Force, Air National Guard. I was in a what they called at the time active guard reserve. So out of the summer months I would be active duty, and then in the school years I would go back in reserve status and to finish my school. So military paid for that portion of it. While I was in there and while I was also working a civilian life, I started working with Chili's Grill and Bar. You guys know the restaurant, right? I worked several other little mom and pops along before then, but I came on with Chili's. It was time for me, a crossroads, right? For me to either re-enlist and then into the military, like to re-up, or to take what Chili's was offering me, and that was a career, as a manager, and you're going to grow up the company ladder for that way. So I ended up not re-enlisting and renewing into the military, and I went ahead and took the civilian route and went to Chili's. From that point on, went through a whirlwind of crazy stories that I'll get into more of those later. But in the restaurant world, if anybody's in the hospitality industry, restaurant, hotels, bars, you know what I'm talking about. Crazy, 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 unbelievable things. I still to this day am not sure why they don't really have a true to life sitcom about restaurants, kind of like the movie Waiting, but do that in a sitcom version. I think that would be amazing. And maybe even do it more of a kind of a reality thing where it's an actual restaurant with real people, and you'd see how it's really going on, what's really going down. And I don't mean the gross stuff about messing with people's food, but I digress again, right? So I was in the restaurant business for most of my adult life. I had moved to Midland, Odessa, Texas. My mom and dad, I should mention, let me back up. We were, from the time I was 10 to the time I was 18, we were foster parents. So my mom and dad kept foster kids. And so I've got two brothers, Danny and Charlie. They're both adopted. They're my brothers, from the time we were little to the time I was 10 years old when they were introduced to my life. They were infants when we adopted them. So from the time I was 10 to the time I was 18, we've had over 50 some odd different foster kids in the home at that time. And my mom and dad, after I went to college, had eventually moved to Amarillo and then Midland, Odessa. They were doing house parents for Cal Farley's Boys Ranch, and then for another similar program in Midland, Odessa. So they were house parents. They kind of did group homing for boys and troubled children, and mentoring and raising and developing the kids. My mom and dad both had a really kind of a passion for that, and I'm glad, I'm blessed for it. I think I learned a lot from that. So now I'm in college, right, and I made that decision of whether to go to the military or whether to go to the restaurant business, and I chose the restaurant world. So fast forward in life a little bit, I moved down to Midland, Odessa, where my parents were. I got married, and then I moved to Florida. Got divorced. She left, went back to Texas. I stayed here in Florida. My mom and dad, my dad never really liked Florida, so my dad wanted to move back to Oklahoma. He went back to Oklahoma. My brothers, one of them's in Ohio now through where life's taken him. My other brother is in Oklahoma. And then I had a mortality moment in life. About 7 years ago now, I lost my father to cancer. And it was some time after they moved back to Oklahoma. He was diagnosed, had a form of bone marrow cancer. And he was given a year to live, and it was almost a year to the date when he passed. He had an issue with his spleen. They had to do an emergency surgery because it was so enlarged they were worried about the spleen rupturing. And if he wasn't within a reasonable distance of a hospital, he would die immediately. So he never recovered from the surgery. To do all the cancer treatments, his body just wasn't strong enough, and he never made it through. So here I am in Florida. My parents and my family have all gone back out of state. I've got my friends and family, my friend family here in Florida, and I get the phone call, right? And I, of course, take off. I go back to Oklahoma. I went through that, helping my mom set up the funeral. And that's when Peter Pan died, right? That's when the life I was living to that point, the 10 foot tall and bulletproof, they call it a mortality lesson in life for a reason, because that's when you learn what life is all about. So more so than just losing a parent, I was actually there and made the decisions to the do not resuscitate. I legitimately saw my dad take his last breath. And, I think that that's a lesson in life that he wanted. I really think that, thank God I was able to be there, because I couldn't imagine if I wasn't. But that made me grow up, so even in that moment, he taught me a really strong lesson, right? And it's a lesson that I continue to learn and I continue to progress with. For the months after my father had passed, I went through a deep battle of depression. And, a lot of it was self-induced, because I was in a party lifestyle. I was binge eating, binge drinking. I was, you name it, and hanging out with friends in the moment rather than friends that were actually for your best interests. And then I had great friends along the way. Patrick Hagan's a great, one of my best friends. He's my brother from Florida. He's out in California now doing his thing, and I couldn't be any more proud of him. Juan De La Rosa, Teresa De La Rosa. You name it. I've got a lot of really good friends and a strong, solid network. Javon Glasgow and Dwayne, that have been here in Florida to kind of help me to this point, right? It takes a village to raise a kid, and I think sometimes I was probably the village idiot in a lot of those stories that they would tell. But to be where I'm at now would be an accumulation of a lot of experiences in life. And one thing that I've learned is I didn't always have someone right there to help teach me, right? To help me get me through a spot. But I always had someone there to support me in the times that they couldn't even help, right? So that's a blessing in and of itself. So as go back to the depression portion a little bit, in order to get myself out of that, I think that I'd have to thank Melinda, my better half. It was shortly after I lost my father that I met Melinda, and asked her out, and we worked together at the time, and eventually we ended up going out. I don't know, she says she didn't stand me up, but I think she was playing a little hard to get. But she introduced her two beautiful kids into my life, and that's when everything changed completely. A 180-degree shift in my life happened the minute I fell in love with those kids. Talon and Melanie are amazing. The worst problems we ever have with those kids is something to the effect of maybe Talon left his homework at home, or, I don't know if we've ever had a problem with Melanie. But really, that's kind of what brought me to where I'm at today. I became a parent. And from that moment, I think that one of the best blessings that could have ever been brought up with Melinda and those kids. They taught me the lessons in life to grow up and to actually what it was to become a man. And, I don't think that I can ever repay her or those kids. I hope I can try through just in being present and helping and teaching and doing what I can along the way. And I've told Melinda this before, and I don't know if she's ever really understood it the way I meant it when I said it, but she saved my life. Her and those kids absolutely saved my life. And I love you, Melinda. I love you, and I love the kids very much. So now that was about going on 6 years ago, right? And so then I met Melinda and the kids. I became a parent, start kind of growing into where do I need to go? I've got bigger responsibilities. It's not just me now. It's bigger than me, right? This is bigger than me. I'm not comfortable. I'm not happy where I'm at. At the time, now I am. Now I'm comfortable. I love where I'm at. But at the time, even with Melinda and the kids, I knew that there was more. I knew I had to do more. I knew there was something that I was supposed to be doing that I wasn't doing yet. And I had to get out of my own way to get there. And a lot of that was mindset, right? Controlling my mindset. I was working at Mortgage Investors Corporation. My brother Juan De La Rosa got me on over there. Knew nothing about mortgages, but that's where I met Melinda and everything. So I started doing that and started doing great at it, and after that whole part of the career starts winding down and Mortgage Investors is about to close, I knew that I was never happy as an employee, right? All the times in the restaurant business and any place I'd worked at, I'd always excelled pretty quickly, right? I climbed up whatever ladder pretty quickly, and I quickly hit my head on whatever ceiling was there, and I was never happy. Fulfilled, maybe that's a better word. So I took that and I said, I'm going to do something that I'm going to have to build, right? So 1099, I knew that's where I wanted to go. 1099 contracting commission, ended up going into the insurance world. I mean, I knew nothing about mortgages before I went there, and I was great, so why not go try insurance and know nothing about that and be great, right? So I got into the insurance world, met Colonial Life. That's my company now, where I'm a part of Colonial Life, and man, the lessons that I have learned in the last couple of years just with that alone, that's when everything really started to bloom and take shape. You know, when you plant something, when you plant a seed, a lot of times we're measuring off what we see on the surface soil, right? But through all the cultivation, through the preparation, through the aeration of the soil, through the nutrients of the soil, the fertilizing, the watering, the sun, all the processes that make that grow. And there's a plane going over right now, of course, but all the processes that actually make that plant grow, we don't see until what they call a breakthrough happens, right? When it actually starts breaking through to the surface, that's when we start to measure that plant's growth. But there was so much that happened under that soil. So I think if I had to put it into a visualization analogy, that's my life up until that point, right? I was a seed in the ground, and I took Melinda and the kids and an accumulation of everything that had happened to that point in my life where I really started having a breakthrough, and actual real growth, real measurable growth started taking place. And so there I am with Colonial, and the great people I've met there along the way. I'm not going to fill this episode with all of the people, but there's Craig Miller, TJ McInnes, there's Javon Glasgow, there's Frankie Padula, there's, Drew Nolan. I mean, gosh, you name it. I can keep going, but I'm going to forget them all. So I'm going to have episodes with lessons from these people, and that's my honor, and paying back a little bit of what they gave me, is sharing that with other people out there. That's the purpose behind Mindset Over Everything. What I just went over, everything. I gave you the purpose of why I do this. I want to make an impact in someone's life. I want to be that mentor that you don't have currently. You didn't know you needed, right? You never really asked for. But I'm going to give you the lessons I've learned up until this point, and I'm going to continue to do that each and every week as I go through. I'm going to continue to try to bring those lessons to you and to those people around you. And if you can help me do that by sharing me, right? If you can help me do that by giving a rating and a review on the podcast, I promise you I'm going to give you the best of my ability every single one of these episodes. I really, really appreciate it. I know that seems like a big cliffhanger because there's so many other stories to go, but I wanted to give an origin of kind of where I'm at, where I came from, and why I'm even doing this in the first place. Mindset Over Everything is to help people engage, change, and challenge their mindset to get into that mode of what it actually takes to be successful. And remember, success, it's the pursuit of the fulfillment of one's true potential. That's success. So success is not a destination. Success is literally the journey and the process along the way, the pursuit of the fulfillment of one's true potential, right? So thank you, everyone. Again, this is kind of a laid-back episode. This is a little Sunday chat, but this is an origins episode where you give you a little history of mindset, and hopefully you can see the vision with me and where we're going to go. But that's it. Oh, one last thing. Go execute. See you guys later.